students, we are continuing with lesson 6, Weathering the Storm in Erasama from our book Moments. And we have seen that when Prashant reached his village, he saw that people were suffering and he took responsibility as a leader and provided the food to the people, those who were staying in that shelter. And on the fifth day, a military helicopter dropped some food packets, but it did not return then. Then Prashant and his volunteers deputed some children to lie down on the ground by putting empty utensils on their stomachs so that the message would be conveyed that they were hungry. This idea worked, and then the helicopter started making regular rounds, airdropping food and other things of basic needs. Now, Prashant found a large number of orphaned children. He found that there were so many children, those who have lost their parents. He brought them together and put up a polythene sheet shelter for them, and women were appointed to look after them, and men were appointed to secure food and other things of basic needs. As the weeks passed, Prashant was quick to recognize that the women and children were sinking deeper and deeper in their grief. So as weeks passed, Prashant noticed that children and women were suffering. They were very sorrowful. So he persuaded the women to start working in the Food for Work program started by an NGO, and for the children he organized sports events. So he persuaded mean made agree, mean he agreed the women, made the women agree to start working in a Food for Work program which was started by an NGO. And for the children, he organized sports events. He himself loved to play cricket, and so he organized cricket matches for children. So Prashant, he was himself fond of playing cricket, and he organized cricket matches for children. Prashant engaged with other volunteers in helping the widows and children to pick up the broken pieces of their lives. So Prashant, along with other volunteers, he was just trying to help the widows and children to start their life, to restart their lives, to forget their to pick up the broken pieces of their lives mean to forget everything and start their life. The initial government plan was to set up institutions for orphans and widows. In the starting, government planned to set up institutions for orphans and widows. However, this plan was successfully resisted. Resisted mean opposed. Even this plan to settle orphans and widows in institutions, it was opposed. Why? As it was felt that in such institutions children would grow up without love. So this plan was opposed because it was felt that if children and widows they would be sent to institutions, children would grow there without any love, and widows would suffer from stigma and loneliness. So widows would suffer, they will feel bad and loneliness. Prashant's group believed orphans should be resettled in their own community itself. So Prashant's group believed that orphans, the children who have lost their parents, they should be resettled in their own community. They should not they should not be sent to somewhere else. So possibly in new foster families made up of childless widows and children without adult care. So they thought that these children should be adopted by the childless widows and children without adult care. So in that case, widows will get, or the childless widows, they will get children, and children will get adult care. Then it is 6 months after the devastation of the super cyclone, and after 6 months of that destructive super cyclone, this time Prashant's wounded spirit has healed simply because he had no time to bother about his own pain. So he just, this time Prashant's wounded spirit has healed simply. So now, after 6 months, his wounded spirit has healed. Means he forgot all his sufferings because he had no time to bother about his own pain. He did not get any time to think of his own sorrows. His handsome, youthful face is what the widows and orphaned children of his village seek out most in their darkest hour of grief. So, his handsome, youthful face, or you can say that Prashant, he was the only hope for the widows and orphaned children whom they seek out in most of their darkest hours of grief, when the people, they were in the core of their grief, okay, they are in their worst time, then they remember the face of Prashant. Then Prashant gave him hope to live. That's all. Rest will do later.